want us to get loud? Yeah!
Welcome into the Week 9 edition of the ETSN podcast. I'm Clint Buckley, and I'm joined as always by Chandler Vessels. We're getting ever closer to the playoffs. We got 3 weeks left in the regular season. A lot of big games going on this Friday night, but first things first, Chandler, how was your trip to Austin last weekend?
It was great. The game was a little closer than I thought it would be. I really thought OSU would run away with it, and I also didn't think it was going to be 13-10 final score. But it was fun. You know, it was cool to be the visiting fan. You know, in the Texas home stadium. You know, there was Texas fans surrounding us. Got to talk to some of them. They were all pretty nice, and then obviously Ramon Richards gets the pick there at the end to seal the deal. So it was a great game to watch, especially towards the end. And then I enjoyed. We went out to 6th Street after the game. So that was fun too, just to get to see Austin and get to explore the city a little bit.
So first trip to Austin, and as far as college football goes, what did you think of being in Texas in the crowd?
Oh man, it was great. It was so loud at times when Texas was doing well, and then it was funny because then after the interception, it just got so quiet in that stadium.
Yeah,
but it was a great experience. I would definitely recommend if anyone hasn't been to Austin to see a game that they go down there.
Well, next time you go down there, give me a little bit longer notice, and I'll give you some pointers about where to go eat and some cool places to go hang out. Because I've been to Austin many times. I got family from there, so yeah, I'm glad you had a great time, and hopefully you can make it down there soon. But we got some high school football to talk about this week. Like I mentioned, just 3 weeks to go until the playoffs start. Some big games coming up this week that can determine a lot when it comes to the postseason. The first thing we're going to talk about this week is Longview versus John Tyler. This is a big game. This was number 1 on our preseason countdown of the top 25 games of 2017. And one of the reasons for that was the winner of this game is likely going to host a first-round playoff game. Because both of these two teams are headed for the playoffs in Division II. There's 4 teams from the district that make the playoffs, 2 in Division I, 2 in Division II, depending on the size of the school. Longview and John Tyler are the 2 smallest schools in the district, so they're automatically going to go Division II if they make the playoffs. And then there's a rule that's been in place since the beginning of last year that if you're the top seed in either Division I or Division II, in the playoffs, in the first round, you get to host the first playoff game. We saw this play out last year. Longview loses to John Tyler at home. John Tyler gets to host Lufkin in the first playoff game. Longview goes to Beaumont and then loses. John Tyler wins. So it can be a big deal, and there's definitely going to be a lot at stake in this one. Just like last season, these two teams are pretty evenly matched. Both are coming off 3 straight wins after kind of humbling district opening defeats. I mean, we talked about Mesquite Horn just devastating Longview, and then Rockwall just annihilating John Tyler in the first game. And each of these each of these 2 teams have bounced back from that, and they're playing probably the best football of the season. Longview's been getting it done with defense. I mean, we saw it last week against North Mesquite. They put on a clinic defensively. The pass rush has been great. It's led by J.C. Blakemore. He's a great he's undersized, but he gets after it at defensive end. He's a nightmare for opposing quarterbacks. And then the secondary, it's always good. And it's the same this year. And Jalen Carr has been leading the way this year. He has 5 interceptions on the season. John Tyler's going to have to figure out the running game, I think, to win this one, because ever since the week 1, when they went for 500 rushing yards in their week 1 win against Plano West, they've kind of struggled to find it on the ground. They haven't rushed for more than 200 yards in any of the games since. And last week against Rockwall Heath, which is a win, they averaged less than 4 yards per carry. And I think that's eventually going to catch up to them, especially against a team of Longview's caliber that's really sound fundamentally on defense. They're going to have to be able to run the ball, because I think any time you're one-dimensional against Longview's defense, it's bad. And John Tyler's been doing great through the air the last couple of weeks. Their new quarterback, Kalen Warren, has been great, but he's going to need some help with the running game. The good news is Cameron Grant, the starting running back, is back. He's missed 3 games while in the concussion protocol. He came back last week against Heath, I think ran for 70 yards. So hopefully that can be a good thing for John Tyler moving forward, to have him and both Roderick Hawkins man that running back position and maybe get back on track running the football. But I'm looking forward to this. I'll be there Friday night, Longview versus John Tyler at 7:30 at Rose Stadium. Big game for both teams, obviously, as the playoffs are looming. Another couple of big games as we move down to Class 4A. Pleasant Grove against Pittsburgh. Both these two teams are 2-0 in district, and this has the makings of a great one.
Yeah, I mean, it's safe to say that Pleasant Grove is not a pretender. They're for real. Yeah. They're 7-0 now. They beat Gilmer a couple weeks ago to give Gilmer its first home district loss since 2001. So that's crazy. They're putting up 319 yards on the ground, so they favor running the ball, but they're not incapable of passing too. They have a quarterback, Ben Harmon, who's thrown for over 800 yards, and he's got a target and Carson Cox. Yeah.
He's really good.
Yeah. He's got, I think, like 300 and about 350 yards on the season. And their defense is good too. With the exception of that game against Gilmer, they've been holding teams pretty low scoring, and they've got a player in Caleb Portia who's got 79 tackles, 3 for loss. Gets back there and really gives opposing quarterbacks some puts some pressure on the opposing quarterbacks. As far as Pittsburgh goes, they're pretty balanced on offense too. They run the ball a lot, same as Pleasant Grove, but they also have a good quarterback in Jalen Jimerson, who's thrown for over 1,000 yards this season. Also rushed for 500 yards. So seeing those two teams battle will be interesting, and I think that Pittsburgh's ability to get things going in the passing game, if they can get things going in the passing game, it'll be a lot more interesting game.
Yeah, I mean, this game is very intriguing to me because Pittsburgh, I mean, they're coming off a crazy game against Spring Hill, an overtime game, 57-56. They score with they tie it in overtime, and then they go for 2 to win it in overtime instead of tying it and sending it to a second overtime. So that takes guts to move to 2-0. Pleasant Grove, like you said, they've just been rolling over teams with the exception of Gilmer, and we all know how good Gilmer is. It's kind of going to be a litmus test, I think, for Pittsburgh to see how they stack up as we get closer to the playoffs, and what we might be able to expect from them post regular season. So looking forward to that one. Another big game in 9-3 Division II, Waskom and West Rusk. This looks like it's for the district title. Yeah,
and I'll be there Saturday, so it should be a good game. I've been really impressed. I haven't got to see West Rusk play at all, but I do the stats every week, and I've been really impressed with their defense. Yeah. They've got several guys who are just at the top for the leaderboards and defense. They've got Tyree Wilson, Diego Molina, and Darian Johnson, all with nearly 20 tackles for loss games. So all those guys have combined for over 60 tackles for loss. They've pitched 4 shutouts this season. They're holding opponents to 5 points per game. So I don't know.
So what you're saying is Waskom has its work cut out for it on offense.
Yes. Well, West Rusk opponents are combined 17-27, so I think Waskom's a little bit better than what they've seen so far. Mm-hmm. But Waskom, it's definitely not going to be easy for Waskom, and at the same time, it's not going to be easy for West Rusk because they're going to have to face one of the best rushing attacks in East Texas. TK Hamilton's got over 1,000 yards already and 15 touchdowns. They've got Dalen Hill and Chris Stafford, who've combined for nearly 700 more yards, and passing is a rarity in Waskom. So it's really going to come down. This game's really going to come down to that West Rusk defense, those guys who've been getting in the backfield all season, and Waskom's offensive line being able to stop them, give Hamilton and those guys some room to run. So I'm really excited to see which team comes out on top, because these are definitely two juggernauts on opposite ends right here.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the classic strength-on-strength battle when you're talking about Waskom's physical run game against West Rusk's impenetrable force, which is their defense. So those 3 games are huge. Some other big games going on this week. We've got Tyler Lee against Rockwall. Both teams need to win to kind of stay alive. They're at 1-3. in district, and the loser's probably done. It's kind of the second straight game like that for Lee. They beat Mesquite last week in a similar type situation, so they need to go on the road this time and beat Rockwall if they want to stick around in the playoff discussion. Conroe Oak Ridge against Lufkin. Lufkin is trying to follow up last week's big win over Beaumont Westbrook. 50-7, they beat Westbrook. That was crazy. Oak Ridge is a one-loss team. Their only loss was to state-ranked the Woodlands. So, not necessarily an easy match for Lufkin here, but it is at home. Spring Hill against Gilmer. Spring Hill starts off 5-0, and then they lose the first 2 games in district. Now, albeit, the first one was to Gladewater by 3 points, and then last week the overtime loss to Pittsburgh on the 2-point conversion. So they're probably not in the best of moods, and they're probably going to want to take it out on Gilmer. Although Gilmer's at home, I've seen them in person lose 2 home games this year. I would be very shocked if they lost a third home game this year. So it's going to be an uphill battle for Spring Hill to avoid 0-3, but that's a game to keep an eye on. And then a couple of games in 2A in the same district, actually, 11 2A Division 1, San Augustine against Alto, and then Carlisle against Joaquin. These have been kind of the big 4 in that district all season long. San Augustine's rolling. They're 7-0. They're looking great on both sides of the ball. Alto, after a rough start, kind of knocks off Carlisle, a previously unbeaten team, and if they can do that again this week against San Augustine, look out. They're in the driver's seat for the district title. And then Carlisle looking to bounce back from the loss to Alto, facing a Joaquin team that just has 1 loss and is trying to keep pace with the top folks in the district. So those are kind of the big games we want to pay attention to in Week 9 this week. There are several others, and we wish we had the time to talk about all of them, but can't do it. We're under limited time constraints. So before we get out of here, we want to give a big shout-out to our offensive and defensive players of the week. First on offense is Groveton senior quarterback Hayden Terry. How about this line? 19 of 25, 403 yards passing, 6 touchdowns in Groveton's 65-29 win over West Hardin. Congratulations to Hayden Terry, our offensive player of the week. On defense. Yeah,
we got Corbin Foster from Newton. He had 20 tackles and 5 for a loss, and some fumble recoveries in their victory this week, so well-deserved for him.
Yeah, Corbin Foster is a great player. I mean, he put up over 200 tackles last year. And Newton's defense is just, we talked about West Rusk. Newton's defense is on par with that. They've been playing great this year. So congratulations to Hayden Terry and Corbin Foster, our offensive and defensive players of the week. Before you head out to your games on Friday night, be sure to check out ETSN.fm for all of the previews around the big games this week. And download our mobile app, our ETSN mobile app on Google Play or the App Store. It's the best way to keep track of all the live scoring on Friday night. The best live school board in East Texas, presented by America's Car Mart. If you have any questions or comments for Chandler or myself, you know the drill. Twitter, I'm at Clint Buckley. He's at Chandler Vessels. And, of course, you can hit the mothership up at ETSN.fm. Well, until next time, for Chandler Vessels, I'm Clint Buckley. Enjoy your weekend.